Hello everyone and welcome to this AQUAS 2020 tutorial. In the previous tutorials we learned how to set up water and underwater effects. In this quick tutorial we will use the setup wizard to create some additional shoreline effects. In this scene I have a terrain and the water is already in the scene. I have the setup wizard docked in the bottom right corner. Let's move to the Tools tab. Here we select the terrain masking tool. We are asked to provide some input. Drag the water plane and the terrain object from the hierarchy and drop them here. The shoreline effects are rendered based on the depth of the water. The maximum mask depth defines a threshold below which shoreline effects will not be rendered. The steeper your shore is, the higher this number should be in order to still get results. In this example, we have a relatively flat shoreline, so we will go with a small value. I will use 0.2. Now we can click Create Terrain Mask. The terrain mask is created and saved in a folder called Terrain Masks, which is located inside the AQUAS 2020 main folder. When we select the water plane and expand the material properties, we find a section called Shoreline Waves. It has a parameter called Shoreline Mask. Let's drag our newly created terrain mask and drop it here. This looks awful, but we now have an effect of a kind. All we need to do is to adjust the material parameters that control the shoreline effects to get a more natural look. Let's start with the Shoreline Blend. The Shoreline Blend lets us control how far out the shoreline effects will be rendered. Increasing the value will restrict the effect closer to the intersection line. Next, let's adjust the frequency. Choose a frequency that seems natural depending on your environment. For this example, the speed seems okay. You can change it if you think your shoreline is moving too slow or too fast. Lower the shoreline strength to get a more restrained look. The random mask provides some variation only to make sure the shoreline effects are not uniform across the entire shore. We have now created some nice shoreline effects. One word of advice before we finish this tutorial: the quality of the shoreline effects strongly depend on the quality of the mask, and the quality of the mask depends on the quality of your height map. Lower height map resolutions will result in more inaccurate masks and thus inaccurate results. Please keep that in mind when generating masks. On a side note, if you wish to make underwater effects, you should set up the shoreline effects before you add the underwater effects. This way, you won't have to make the setup for both the front and the back face. And that is it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we will learn how to use the reference exporter to create flowing rivers. If you have any questions or need support, please feel free to send an email or leave a post on the forum. Thank you very much for watching and see you in the next tutorial.